Minister of Defense and Military Veterans, Minister Angel Saka, joined by the two deputy ministers, Deputy Minister Bantu Minister and Deputy Minister Richard Mkongo, the Chief of the SNDF, General Mapianya, and the Acting Secretary, Dr. Gamete, all generals and admirals and colleagues, good morning. As you all know, today we are tabling the budget for the Department of Defense and Military Veterans. We are going to allow the Minister to give us a preview into the priorities of the department for this financial year. And once the Minister is done, we're going to allow the colleagues to raise questions. And we request that we move with the necessary speed because we have to be in the chamber at 9:45 the latest. So we'll also allow colleagues who are joining us online to ask questions, and Nandika will help us. Honorable Minister, I will platform is yours.
Okay. Oh, get some hands. Okay. The ministers included and acknowledge my colleagues, the two deputy ministers, Deputy Holomisa and Deputy Minister Klope. Acknowledge our Secretary of Defense and also the Chief of the Defense Force, but also all the senior officials that are accompanying us and members of the media, and thank you very much for the opportunity. Indeed, in the next hour, we're going to be presenting our budget, and I'll just give you highlights of what have been the discussions in the department, what is it that we have prioritized in the context of very difficult financial constraints. Because our plans of what needs to be done and plans of what we have are not necessarily aligned. And in our discussions with colleagues, we've decided, and I think we're obliged to, Secretary of Defense always reminds me that it is illegal to spend what you don't have. So which means we have to fit within the budgets, not in terms of what we want to do. So I thought I should say upfront that we really have what I really call a major problem in the sector. And I'm glad that we're meeting different committees of Parliament to say something has to give. As much as they always ask me, Chief, what are you going to do the following? I said, but it's Parliament that passes budgets. When the budget comes, I have to live within what it has. So there is really an agreement within government that there must be a serious relook of the national budget. But let me go straight to what we have planned for you to say. Our budget that we're going to present is a strategic expression of our commitment to building a modern, professional, and people-oriented defense force that is rooted in the values of our country, of service, accountability, peace, and development. And we are guided as a department by the firm belief that defense is more than military assets and combat readiness, but it is about defending our people, safeguarding our sovereignty as a country, protecting our borders, and creating an environment of peace and stability which our economy and our people can thrive in. So our central priority, obviously, which is to urgently enhance our operational capabilities, and that's what we've really been engaging Treasury on, Cabinet on, to say we desperately need to enhance what we have for strategic responsiveness. And even in our discussions in the department is to say, what is it that we do within the limited resources to enhance our operational capabilities? Because we are obliged to modernize our capabilities across the land, air, and the sea domains, while also being clear-eyed about the fiscal constraints that we face. And it means that we have to prioritize and reprioritize our resources to ensure maximum operational impact without compromising governance, which is, as I said, it reminds me every day to say, you want 10,000 soldiers. It says, there's a governance issue which you want to compromise. This is what you have. You can't get more than, you can't plan more than what you have. but also to be very transparent and be accountable. The other big thing which we as the department, and we are also looking, and we will be coming with plans later after we've done the budget, of saying who is most important to the department, and we confirm that soldiers are very central. And therefore their well-being, their safety is of paramount importance, and we are looking at different activities, including reprioritizing our budgets for their uniforms, for their accommodations, and their well-being. So we're working very hard on that, and that's what we're going to be reprioritizing. But we also believe that the defense, especially with what we would have inherited from our previous dispensation, infrastructures like BNL, we have an opportunity also to be able to use defense to grow our economy and create more jobs. Defense is very scientific, so which means you can grow your own kids in terms of science and technology. It's high-level science. And we're already looking at working of repositioning our South African defense industries. We are engaged on a number of discussions with them to support local innovations, industrial participation, and defense exports. We are also creating space for job creation within that enterprise, skills training, because we say it's high science, and indeed we think we can grow skills, lots of skills amongst young South Africans in technological advancement. We've really identified the defense sector with our broader national priorities, which are rebuilding the economy, fostering innovation, and unlocking new opportunities that are there. But more than anything, as a department, we also work with some of the most important people who brought us here. And one of our ongoing challenges is to make sure that through democracy, we can help them enjoy the fruits of their work through the Military Veterans Program. And the budget continues to prioritize their dignity and the welfare of our military veterans. On an ongoing work at how we improve our administration, which is really fragile, and roll out their benefits, helping them to access educational support for their children, continue to provide military pensions to all those that are deserving, but also working on other programs, because most of them are elderly, making sure that we give them dignified burials, we memorialize them, and look at their health. So these are some of the areas that we are really looking very hard at. We would also announce that I think you're all quite aware that we have now finalized the withdrawal of our troops from semi-DRC. I'm told all of them have now been accounted for their home. We're working at auditing our arsenals that we have taken away with us to semi-DRC, and they'll soon be home. But as a country and as a department, we continue to stand for peace, for justice, and multilateral cooperation. As a nation, we remain committed to the African Union's peace and security agenda, and to a future where Africa is free of conflict, governed by its people, and driven by its own developmental priorities. So I really want to thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and we'll give details after the budget. But as we promised, we will then come out to the public around specific things that we're doing around prioritizing the needs of our soldiers. We have requested our planners in the department to see where we can reduce some spending, where we can reprioritize, to make sure that we can plug the urgent holes so that our ship does not sink whilst we are negotiating for urgent, immediate additional resources. Though we appreciate that the envelope is very tight, but there is commitment from the Minister of Finance to continue to look around where they can really assist us with immediate reliefs, whilst in the long term, in line with the President's instruction, the baseline of defense has to be increased. And that's the bottom line. Otherwise, we'll be telling tales all the time, and if we are not able to deal with it. So I think I should leave it at that, Onika, and do commit that after the budget will have a series of briefs in terms of how we've managed to prioritize, because we have asked the planners to reprioritize, because SecDef would tell me whatever plan you have to bring has to be within the ceiling of what you have. Don't plan anything outside this, otherwise it's illegal. We'll all be charged if we plan outside what we have. And that's what we're doing. So we've instructed our planners to say, find us money for our equipment, but also for our soldiers. And maybe we reduce some of the things like the traveling delegations, cut them by half to see if it does give us money. So that the areas we're looking at where we get the monies within the limitations of what has been allocated to us, and we have to live within. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. We are now going to open for colleagues to ask questions. You know the drill. You introduce yourself, the media house you're coming from, and you ask questions. Thanks very much. Can I maybe just note to the open hands? Okay, it's just you. And you can also be ready if you've got online questions. Thanks.
Good morning. Thank you, Minister. Jason Felix from News 24. I have 4 questions, Minister. You spoke towards the end of your opening remarks of to prevent the shift from sinking. We all know the state of the SANDF as an entity, as a whole. How far is that shift from sinking? Because your budgets are being cut every year. Your own reports are saying that things are not sustainable. There's not enough jets, there's not enough helicopters. The armored vehicles are old and outdated, and there's a low morale within the ordinary members, the ordinary troops and soldiers of the SANDF. Then also on the matter of the Democratic Republic of Congo, how will this equipment be brought back, seeing that it was such a struggle to get the troops back home? There's obviously volatilities in that area. Is the SANDF, you as a minister or ministry, confident that everything that your arsenal that you took with from South Africa, from here to the DRC will come back in, I guess, in one piece? And then just my last 2 questions, Minister. As South Africa fully withdrawn from the DRC, and is there any consideration to send troops again for peacekeeping missions, specifically to the DRC? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nandipa, online.
Good morning. There's no questions so far.
Okay. Thanks. That was good, Minister.
Well,
Can you go? Thanks.
no, I'll repeat. I've reassured the nation, and I'll continue to reassure the nation that for now, the ship is solidly on the ground. But what I said to the President and Treasurer, the situation cannot continue. For instance, when I spoke to the chief of, because I visit all the different chiefs, to the chief of the army, which is the biggest part, how far are we? He said we're at 50%, and we cannot, and that's why we're saying we're safe now, but we can't go lower than what we have. And that's why it's urgent and desperate that we have to make sure that we're at the safe levels. So for now, we can assure South Africans that they can sleep peacefully. We'll protect them. No one's going to, Lesotho won't come and run over or anybody. We can assure people that for now, as a defense force, we stand ready to defend our people both on land and on sea. But the budget constraints are actually desperate, because not only do we have to keep what we have in good shape, which I know people keep on counting how many aircrafts we have, how many. Something which I was told when I came to the TP. It's nothing said to declare in public, so I'm not going to say, yes, we have 5 or 10. But the only thing that we can reassure you that we are safe for now, but the situation can't continue as is, because then it's going to put us in difficulties. Bearing in mind that the war science is changing, there's lots of technology, there's lots of science, so as much as we have to sustain what we have to move beyond what we have. And that's what the Chief of Defense is the one that is going to talk. From the reports I got, our equipment is already in charge. It's in Tanzania. It's no longer in the CMDRC. What we have to do is to audit it, because we were there not on our own, under SADC and CMDRC. So we have to audit it and get us to account for what we took. And then when we bring home, we can even say to South Africans, we took so many helicopters, here's the twist back. So that it's just being audited. So the heavy ones will come by sea, but the other ones that we can fly over will be able to, we will be able to fly it back with our own even aircrafts. We have our own aircrafts which will bring some of the plans to send troops. It's part of our commission as a commitment as a country that we will work for peace. We will support initiatives that maintain peace. And we've been in this game for more than 20. So it's the CMDRC which I think would have, with the passing of our soldiers, would have really created lots of anxiety. But we've been in almost all peacekeeping processes. And peacekeeping, from what I've learned, it's not only sending soldiers. At the last Berlin conference on peacekeeping, we made about 6 commitments. And I'll ask Chief just to say, but amongst others, in the peacekeeping process, it's also what are your expertise in the peace process. For instance, the whole question of empowerment of women and gender training, we leading as a country. We committed ourselves at Berlin at the UN peacekeeping conference that we will work with other countries on how to protect women, but also how to advance women. So we made 6 commitments, which we felt for now, with our financial constraints, we can afford, because despite the fact that UN pays, SADC pays, but you also have to pay a price to make sure that you can protect your soldiers as much as possible. We are recently from Mozambique, and it's in our interest also to keep peace, because if there are difficulties in Mozambique, it means it's our difficulties. So for our own safety, we have to participate in peacemaking processes. You can see what would have happened for other parts of the continent where there are challenges, they spill on us. So to protect ourselves is to participate in peacekeeping processes to make sure that we ourselves remain in peace. So we will continue in different forms. The Chief will give you what are the 6 commitments that we have made on behalf of the country, which are informed by our own capabilities. One of the strongest elements that we're known for, we have a very strong defense force in terms of training. We have very good assets and sites. We've committed that countries like the DRC, which, I mean, I can say it now, and I hope they're not recording me, to be overrun by rebels, you need to strengthen your army. There is no way with us. Maybe they can cause riots in Natal, and because of our civilized way of dealing with the public, we will not quell strongly. But you know that after the defense force came in, then there was peace in Natal. But to have a country where you can even be overrun, you need a strong defense force. So that's one of the commitments we made, to say we'll support them in terms of training their defense force in our country. Maybe, Chief, just the 6 commitments. So we are going to continue to participate in peacekeeping programs in different ways depending on our position at a given time. So when we feel ready, you would have given us at least 2% budget, we can go robust. But now, yeah, we have our challenges. Thanks, Chief. Let me ask you to do that.
Thanks, Minister. I just want to indicate that when NOAA was tasked with the Ark, they took all the species in the ship or boat, including the woodpecker. But what NOAA managed to do was to civilize the woodpecker that we are all in this boat. So we're quite humbled that we've got the media that is patriotic, the media that understands that we will still continue to protect and defend the people of South Africa. The South African National Defence Force will still remain in the Eastern DRC. Currently, we are part and parcel of MONUSCO, which is not a Sami DRC party. So, yes, indeed, we are still in DRC as part and parcel of the United Nations mission. Minister, he just indicated that we made several pledges other than what we currently have in DRC. The first one is that we will provide engagement platoons. That is now the combat elements that if the United Nations wants us to provide forces, we will do so. So are the staff officers as well as military gender advisors. That is what we pledged as our first priority. The second issue that we pledged is that we will continue to provide training courses for both units as well as UN staff officers and specialized training for trainer of training. So that is the second priority that we said we will provide should there be a need within the UN. We will also host workshops on action plan for improving security for peacekeeping. The fourth pledge that we made is to contribute towards sexual exploitation and abuse trust. And we have said as a country, because we are champions on this aspect, so we have pledged an amount that will go towards that trust. And that amount, as we said, is according to the requirements and needs of the United Nations. We will also contribute towards we will nominate candidates for senior leadership roles within the UN headquarters. And we have also indicated that the equipment that we have, we will provide equipment that is required for peacekeeping. And those are the major 6 pledges that we have made as a country. And therefore we would like each one of us not to be the woodpecker that is not disciplined and start taking, because if the ship sinks, we will all sink. Thank you.
No, thank you. Just bearing in mind that we are signatories of the UN, so biannually, all countries of the world combine and say, what is it we're going to do jointly to maintain peace? So when we went there were more than 100 countries that had to make pledges one by one. Others made financial pledges, others made pledges in terms of armed forces. And this time, because we have our own constraints, as you can see, we carefully selected where we think we are strongest, but we can still sustain with our own challenges. But we really, as I say, we're part of the United Nations signatories around peacekeeping.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think we're going to close because we need to get the Minister to prepare to go to the chamber. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen from different media houses, Minister, Deputy Ministers, Acting Secretary in Chief. Thank you. Minister will expand more on these priorities with the figures today at 10 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.